Thank you. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this latest installment of Scars Publications book readings in honor of the Cafe Gallery open mic at the cafe on Tuesday nights starting at 7 or at the Cafe Gallery on Wednesday nights. I was looking out the window just a little bit earlier and it was making me think of looking out at Gallery Cabaret and seeing the sun setting as I was waiting for people to show up for the open mic. It just made me a bit wistful, that's all. But I hope everybody is doing well right now and staying safe and staying quarantined, and yes, this will be over sooner rather than later. Honestly, I know it will be. Everyone talks about getting vaccines. I think I saw that Janine just had her second vaccine done, which is double plus awesome. I haven't heard crap of being able to get a vaccine. Yes, I am younger, but I am in a high risk group because of medication I have to take. But I've been fine, and that's not a problem, and that's nothing to worry about because I can continue to stay in my freaking hovel and never go anywhere except for like one or two places out in public, and so what I do regularly anyway, so what difference does it make, right? Yay, lucky. Anywho, sorry that I can't be around for an open mic for you guys, but I thought I would share with you 4 poems from the Wildflowers section of the cc&d September to December 2020 issue collection book that is titled Roll the Bones. Roll the Bones. I like that title, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with actual skulls, but as I have to say, I just had to use this for a cover video still from a Rwandan genocide memorial of many people who have died, including in this row of skulls. There's a spear in one of them. So anyway, video still from Ewan McGregor and Charlie's riding by via motorcycle. That may have been long way down versus long way round. Well, it's definitely not wrong way up, which was on electric motorcycles. Like you guys care, right? I was going to share with you 4 poems from this book. Roll the bones, roll the bones. Sorry, it's just fun to say. Issue titles and collection book titles are often taken from accepted writings within the book. And there's a piece in here somewhere titled Roll the Bones. There you go, the title. So I thought I'd share with you 4 poems, and I'm going to sandwich these 4 poems. The first and last ones will relate to Chicago somehow. I do this because buddy Tom Woodruff would always wear reading glasses like this, and I used to make fun of him while wearing them, and these aren't even mine, but we'll see how this goes. This first one is a piece that's titled Judging the Chicago 7. It was actually written on October 9th, which is on the day of the beginning of the trial against the Chicago 7. Want to know what it's about? If you don't know, here it is. Judging the Chicago 7. When things seem to go terribly wrong, protests and marches don't change the world. Don't take it from me. Take it from Abbie Hoffman during his post-1968 Democratic Convention trial. He said, I didn't particularly think that politics in America could be changed by marches and rallies. So what did they do? All they wanted was to hold rallies away from the convention, march and camp in Lincoln Park, all of which the city of Chicago wouldn't allow. Quote, what we were presenting was an alternative lifestyle. People of Chicago would mingle in Lincoln Park and see what we were about. Yes. People were against President Johnson, and limited rally space led to the violent riots between Chicago police and protesters. And it took until the next president, Nixon, for a trial to start against the Select 7. Well, it was actually 8, but Bobby Seale so protested that he was bound and gagged in court, chained to a chair, quote, like a medieval torture chamber, before he actually was separated from the 7. But wait a minute, I'm tired of playing the role of the reporter when the Chicago Tribune is telling you all these facts. The only facts that you need to know are that Abby Hoffman, with Jerry Rubin and the rest of the gang, they decided that if this trial seemed like such a joke, then they would treat it accordingly. After Judge Hoffman first said Abby Hoffman's name, the judge said, "He's not my son." Which is when Abby then said aloud, "Dad, Dad, have you forsaken me?" Hoffman and Rubin went to trial wearing judge robes to give the world insight into their opinions on the trial. When they were told to remove the robes, they did, to reveal cop uniforms underneath. The defense brought up musicians who weren't allowed to play their guitar, but when poet Allen Ginsberg went on the stand, was asked about a harmonium, the judge then tried to stop the madness out, but not before Ginsberg managed to hit a few bars before he was stopped. So, back to my reporting. When the Daily Chronicle, DeKalb's newspaper, from the DeKalb's Chronicle, DeKalb's newspaper, Ginsberg, in an effort to bring some peace back to the trial, started chanting his mantra of preservation. Hari, Hari, Hari Rama, 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 Rama Krishna doesn't understand. Which is when Judge Hoffman stopped the poet while the courtroom was still just laughing so hard. The language of the U.S. District Court is English. I don't know what language that was we just heard, Judge Hoffman said of this song, which is when Ginsberg told him it's Sanskrit. And to this, the judge actually responded, "When you offer testimony in a foreign language, you must have an interpreter." And no, Ginsberg couldn't interpret himself. Okay, I'm over-reporting again, but this isn't fair. But I think the point is how this trial played out. It may have been this. People can protest things when a government goes bad, even if the actions of the protests may end up becoming bad. And sometimes, after a while, you have to laugh at the whole system, which reveals itself to be ludicrous, because at times that insanity seems the only feasible alternative. I mean, look at your choices. Sane or not, which option will help you through this madness? Oh, yes, as we deal with U.S. politics, as crazy as it is, I thought you would appreciate that one. The next poem I was going to share with you, not related to Chicago, not as far as I know, was written on and for the separation of Church and State Day, which was October 28th. So this was written for that, and it is titled, "Kept Religion Out of Politics." Thomas Jefferson and James Madison may have contended that it's better when religion is kept out of politics, but when I see in England and Europe how religion is so much less a slated institution for their beliefs, for their people, I'm forced to wonder about our own country's history and sordid past with religion. To put all the pieces properly into place, many immigrants came to these states searching for religious freedom, though Jefferson might have understood all too well that freedom of religion could also mean freedom from religion. So, let's be clear. We can be tolerant of any religions, but the government can't impose religion on its citizens. It's that simple. So, all these Supreme Court rulings allowed people the freedom to believe whatever religion they wanted to devise and embrace. But remember, the separation of the church and state decisions came about precisely because people didn't like local governments with religious monuments or schools imposing Bible readings in class. So, no. While it may seem the United States is actually surprisingly religious at times, we still have to make it clear, in law, that there are some religious lines you just can't cross. This country's founding rests on people having the freedom to believe in whatever they want, from the logical to the preposterous. So, on days like today, or any day, we should remember to be grateful that we live where we have the right to choose. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I got a longer one here to share with you. This is a fun one. It was written on the 27th of October for Clean Up the Earth Day. The 22nd, in case you were wondering, the 27th of October, 22nd of October is Clean Up the Earth Day. And written for that is this piece. It's titled Oscar the Grouch and the Recycle Nazi. Oscar the Grouch and the Recycle Nazi. Whenever I would walk down the streets in Chicago, or even when we would drive down those city streets, I'd see litter scattered along those roads, everything from plastic bags to water bottles to soda cans or liquor bottles, or even plastic cups from fast food joints, like their packaging was just as useless and frivolous as that fast food, so why would they bother to think or even throw away their trash? And we Americans think we're above all this trash, and inside we're disgusted by the mess that we see, and we shake our heads with disdain and then do nothing about it. So I contend that if we don't like it and we just pass it every day and do nothing about it, then in a way we are as at fault as the ones who made this mess dirtying the earth. So now, whenever I would walk to my husband's office to visit him, I would bring a plastic bag so that when I walked, I could pick up plastic recyclable trash to recycle when I got home. He made fun of me for doing this, but if I don't like this trash by the street and I do nothing about it when I walk right past it, I have to ask if that makes me any better. My husband would later say that he wasn't making fun of me, but underlyingly felt a bit jealous of the fact that I chose to do this. But then it comes to the point where he wonders if I'm the recycle Nazi, because I won't recycle only when I'm walking down the street. Because if I see a smashed aluminum can in a parking lot, I want to pick it up and place it in my car's recycle bag. And of course it's dirty. Of course it seems improper. But it's more improper if this mess is just left there in the first place. And when did we learn to love trash so much? We're now Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street, where everyone else talks about trying to get along, and us, we've just gotten so used to all the filth that we can't even remember it any other way. But there is another way. I knew people who made greenhouses out of plastic water bottles, to reduce, reuse, and recycle. But we become that recycle Nazi, made fun of by doing the right thing. Sure, let them pick on us. That's usually what happens when we're doing things right. I have to talk for a little bit because I don't think Chicago has this. Austin just voted, will everybody be willing to pay $2 a month more for their trash services to get a new container and have a composting container as well? I am so freaking psycho on this because things like pizza boxes can be composted. Or if you blow your nose, the tissue can be composted. You can't recycle that. It becomes trash. And so I'm just like, oh my God, when you peel a carrot or cucumber or something, the skins and whatever you don't use from leftover food can be used for composting. And I would normally save that stuff in a plastic bag so that it wouldn't stink in my trash. And I still do, but now I can, put that stuff inside of a pizza box and send it out and have it composted. I think this is just the coolest thing ever. I know I'm talking like a crazy person, but I thought that was awesome, and I don't know if Chicago has that. And yeah, it stinks that we have to pay for it, but I don't mind paying for it if that means that my trash, because things things like tissues and stuff like that, they may decompose, but if they're just put in with the trash, they will not be put in a compost situation where they'll naturally decompose, so they will just become a part of the filth. And that's not something we want. At least it's not something I want, right? So I thought it was like the coolest idea to do, because the recycle Nazi can now be the composting Nazi or something. We bought a composting bin because we're like, we can do this. We can add dirt to our yard, but here in Austin, Texas, it is so damn dry that nothing decomposes at a normal rate, at least not for us, you know, Midwesterners, I guess. So who knows what will happen with that, because we can now compost it weekly and have them take care of it, which seems triple plus cool. But anywho, I'm going to share with you one last poem. It is the end of the Wildflowers section of poetry in this book, Roll the Bones, and it is titled Because of Fire. And it was for the October 8th start of the 1871 Great Chicago Fire that lasted for 2 days. So this is written for that. It's called Because of Fire. When we see fire overtake an 850-year-old monument to religion, beauty, history, we are taken aback, helpless, suddenly aghast, at a loss against that primal silence killer. But we look at candles lit, hear the crackling campfire, and we feel a fireplace warmth, and remember why a part of us still loves fire so. At times like these, we must remember that although a mass fire seems only a symbol for death and destruction, maybe after that great fire that took over the only city I love, maybe that destruction only leads to building something bigger, something better, something that made more sense. Because when I stroll from one neighborhood to the next with diverse cultural backgrounds until I get toward the lake, where I can turn back and span the most beautiful skyline I've ever seen, I have to realize that this history of destruction allowed us to make something so good. All because of fire. And speaking of fire, a couple of weeks ago when we had no power for a week, we had lots of candles burning to try to keep us warm. My husband was like, why are we keeping all of these candles as we packed and moved here, which we weren't going to use ever. And some of them I have for display because they're cool, but I just had them in boxes. And I said, well, when we've lost power and it is in the 40s in our house and we have to sit here and have dinner at our dining room table, hey, let's pull out a bunch of votives. We can line them up along the sides and then have tapers all over the place. Let's go through them. I've got a box full of them. We've got 3-inch wide candles. We can display them around everywhere. And when we were in a room, it would raise the temperature at least a degree. We could see that from our thermostat. So there can be a love of fire. It's very true. So all because of fire. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was a select few poems from the book Roll the Bones. It's a cc&d issue collection book, September through December of 2020. If you'd like to know anything about Scars Publications, scars.tv online is where you can find stuff about cc&d magazine or Down to the Dirt magazine, and you could become a part of the writing revolution. I hope everyone is staying safe right now. I hope everyone is remaining creatively inclined, and as I said, as people are starting to get vaccinated, and even when you're not, we go around in masks. We're getting used to it, and then you don't have to have as much makeup on your face, right? Anywho, I hope everyone's doing okay, and we can all get through this. If you're feeling alone, the end is coming soon. Know that you're not alone. Things will get better. I want each and every one of you to hang in there. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being creative, and you stay strong, and I will talk to each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you very, very much.